everyone, welcome to Beauty First in 10. I love makeup and I love football, and I do videos on both. So make sure you subscribe down below to be notified of both. So if you're new to football or makeup or you're a pro, I hope you enjoy and I hope you learn something. So today we're going to be looking at numerous eyeshadow palettes. There's a lot of sales going on right now. So if you didn't buy something during kind of some of the October, November sales, there's another opportunity and there'll be more as we get closer to December. So I wanted to go through some of my all over face palettes so that if you just want to take one palette with you when you go on vacation or you're going away for the weekend, you don't have to take your entire makeup collection. But I wanted to show you all four looks so you can kind of see. So today we're going to do part one and we're going to cover some of these, and I'll just show you some of the application techniques that I use. So on this side, I have one of the palettes, and on this side, I have the other palette. So if it looks a little uneven, that's because there's truly different shades on both sides. So let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to do a battle of the face palettes to see which one's actually worth the money and which one you can actually get a complete look out of. So I'll go through all four palettes and then we'll do two of them today, and then we'll have a part two and we'll do the other two, and then you can all help me decide which one looks best. So the first one we're going to talk about is the cheapest one, which is the Fantasia palette. This one is by One Size, and this is the Disney Storybook Mickey palette. So this one's kind of fun because it does have a mirror on the inside, and the mirror lifts up and you have this little 3D scene. So that was kind of fun. So when you're looking at the palette shades here, we have kind of two sheen blushes here, and then there's two matte blushes. Then you have all your eyeshadows, and then you have your highlighters at the top. The highlighters look the same, but they are just a tad different. One's a little bit more blue toned and one's a little bit more just plain white. So this one's nice because it does have eyeshadow in it. And this is available on the One Size website, and it's currently sitting at $24.50. So this is going to be the cheapest palette of the ones we have today. The next one up in price is going to be the Caliray Endless Sunset palette. And most of these palettes also too on the back have a little guide that kind of tells you basically what you have and how to use them. This one is particularly nice because it gives you multiple different ways you can use it. So this one has a nice little wood palette here with a little sunset on the inside. And then here we have our contour, bronzer. All of these are our eyeshadow shades. And then we have our blush shade here. So again, this is a nice complete palette. You can use some of these as a highlighter as well. So it does have that included as well. And this one is $34.50, and that's at Sephora and also on the Caliray website. The next one up is Cali Contour, not to be confused with Caliray. This one is by Smashbox. And this one is a nice, just kind of general, really kind of all-purpose palette. So it has your contour shade, it's got your bronzer shade, you've got your blush shade, and then these two have a little bit of a sheen, so kind of your highlighters, and then this would be more of your face powder shade. Again, this one doesn't really have eyeshadow, but we will make an eyeshadow look out of this. And again, it kind of gives you some details on what's all included. And that one is going to be $46 at Ulta and Sephora, and also on the Smashbox website. Right now, the cheapest price is on Macy's, and that's $39. But keep in mind, when I'm giving prices, there's lots of sales, there's lots of coupons right now. So the price that I see may be cheaper somewhere else. So the most expensive palette we have, and not even really close, is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder. And we have this one in the Snake Edition. Now, I've got some of these holiday animal palettes in the past, and I usually pick the lightest one because I am kind of fair toned, but I wanted to get a little bit more impact because I feel like with the lighter shades, sometimes I have to put on a lot of product to really get any kind of payoff. So this time I went with the darkest one. So here we have our highlighter shade. We've got 3 different blushes. We've got our bronzer, and then we also have a face powder or a finishing powder, which is a little bit different about this one. Again, this one doesn't have an eyeshadow, but we will make an eyeshadow look out of this one. And this one is going to be $90 on the Hourglass website, it's going to be $80 on Ulta right now because of the coupon that they're running, which is 10 off 50. If you have the 20% off coupon though, it will be cheaper. And this one is actually sold out on Sephora. So we're gonna start out with our base today. And I'm gonna be using the Lawless Conceal the Deal, and I'm gonna be using the shade Sesame, which is a good shade for me. This one, you really have to mix it up. It's a full coverage foundation, but sometimes it can be just a little bit watery coming out. And we're gonna use our Say foundation brush for this one. So we're just gonna drop her a little bit on here, and I'm gonna work this into the skin. And so you can see the color there. It looks really light right now because we haven't blended it in. So I'm just gonna put this here, and then we will buff this out with our beauty blender. And if you don't have a beauty blender, you can get them, you don't have to get the name brand. There's tons of them online. I have both, and I don't really see a difference between one brand name and the other. Make sure to always get the eyes underneath the eyes, because we're not going to be using any kind of concealer today, just to kind of really see what we can all get out of this product. And I will be using the same base each time when we do the face palette, so that there's no variation just based on the face palette. And then you always want to make sure that you go in with a damp beauty blender, and we're going to just basically get this all to meld nicely together, especially when you're using a foundation brush for your application. It can really make a huge difference if you blot during this process or not. So blending, blending, blending is so important when you're applying makeup. The more you blend, the better it'll look. And then you always want to make sure to get underneath, even though this is a pretty close shade for me, we'll just get that in there. Okay, so that's gonna be all that we're gonna do for our base. We're not gonna do concealer or color corrector. I did have moisturizer and primer on today. I used the Drunk Elephant Protini Polypeptide Moisturizer, and for my primer, I used the Rare Beauty primer. Okay, so we're gonna start out with the Hourglass palette, and I'm gonna do one side of my face in the Hourglass, and then we'll do a different palette on the other side. Okay, so we're gonna start out with the Hourglass palette, and I'll be putting this on this side of my face, so the right side of my face, and then we'll put a different palette on the left side so you can kind of compare the two. Again, some have eyeshadow, some don't, some have highlighters, some don't. So this one had a finishing powder, which is right here. So we're gonna use that first. So I'm gonna go in with my other e.l.f. brush that I have, and we're just gonna get a little bit of this product on. Again, it is a little bit on the darker side, but we're just gonna use this to kind of warm up the complexion. It's not a bronzer per se, but because this is the darker palette, on somebody else this might be a little bit less brightening, but I just have really enjoyed this. I just think it adds a nice golden side to the face, so you can see one side versus the other that just has the base on it. Now we're gonna do the bronzer. So the bronzer shade is right down here. It's the darkest one in the palette. And we're gonna use this later on also for our eyeshadow look. I don't really have necessarily anything to work with as far as a traditional eyeshadow, but you know, color is color. So it doesn't have to be labeled an eyeshadow for it to work. And then we'll just put a little bit on the cheeks and rub this up here, and we'll just do this half. Okay. So next we're going to do the blush, which is really exciting because we have 3 choices in this palette. So you have all 3 of these. We're going to use this one, which is Mystic Flush right here. And again, these are so pigmented, for me at least, that you just have to use a very small amount. And you can already see how much color I have there. I'm going to have to kind of buff this out. So let me get my original brush here so that I'm not so red. Just from one pass of that blush, put a little down the nose. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the highlighter. Okay, so the highlighter is this one right here. And we're just gonna put just ever so little amount here. We'll do a little on this side of the nose and on this side of the forehead, and then a little on the chin. So this one is subtle. I like that. I don't like when there's a ton of sparkle in the highlighter because then it just kind of looks chunky and it can really settle into any kind of line or texture that you have. Okay, so for the eyeshadow, we're gonna have to be a little bit creative. So I'm gonna use that same highlighter and then I'm also gonna use the bronzer. So this will go on the base of the shade and then the bronzer will go in the crease and the outer corner. So let's see how this looks. I actually haven't tried this. So this has nice pigment when you're putting it on for your eyeshadow. And then we're gonna go to this bronzer shade and this is just gonna go basically right in this crease, just gonna kind of window wash it, bring it up just a little bit. And then you're gonna kind of pack this corner here. And then to kind of bring it all together, we're just gonna use our bigger blush here and just kind of blend all those together. Again, blending, so important. Okay, so that's the look. I was gonna try also to, I have just a little eyeliner brush. I haven't tried this either. And I was just gonna see if this would work to be an eyeliner so that you wouldn't have to have that either. It's not really showing up super well. Let's try kind of more of the regular brush here. Okay. I mean, it's a little bit there. It's not the most exciting thing, but if you didn't want to bring anything else, I think it would work for you. And then I'm also going to use my Blink mascara to just finish off the look here. And just pop those shades up. So just kind of brings everything together. And then I have my Lippy Balm from Drunk Elephant. This finally came back in stock. So if you were looking for it during the sales event, it was sold out. So I will link my 2 Sephora haul videos for you. So you can take a look at those if there's things that you want to get that I recommended or you're looking for some additional recommendations. Okay, so the other one we're going to use today, I think we'll do the Endless Sunset palette by Caliray. So again, this one here, we're going to have a little bit of a contour, a bronzer, and then we'll also have our eyeshadow, blush, and highlighter. So to start out with the contour, so we're just going to take this right here, and even though these are kind of tiny, you can see how much pigment is deposited. So I've been pretty happy with that because when I first saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, these are so tiny. This is not going to do anything. And then this is the bronzer shade. So again, we're going to really kind of work this in, but you can see how it really does translate a lot of pigment onto the surface. And then we'll just come across the cheek with the bronzer as well. For the blush, I've tried some of these other shades. This one really is the best shade for the blush. So we'll kind of dab in here and then we'll just basically do some nice blending there. So that's a nice kind of traditional pink. This was more of a reddish tone, so they look a little bit different. And then for our highlighter, I'm going to use this kind of sheeny one here. And we'll get that packed on. And then same thing, just a little bit right here. Again, on the sides of the nose, also onto the forehead, a little shimmer, and then down here. And then this one, there we go. That's much better pass. So you can see the highlighter too, nice pretty colors. And then this one actually had some true eyeshadow shades. So we're gonna start out with the base shade right here. And we're just gonna apply this to all of the lid just to get some nice coverage here. Make sure you get into that inner corner since it's a nice light color. And then we're gonna go with this shade right here to do more of a middle tone shade. So this will go directly in the middle of the eye. Go. And then we'll finish with actually the bronzer shade as the side here. Okay. And then again, we don't have an eyeliner, so I'll do the same thing. I have my little eyeliner brush and we'll use that in the contour shade. And then we'll see. Oh, this one actually transfers a little bit better than the Hourglass palette as far as that goes. And then I'll do my blank mascara on this side. And then I already put on my lippy balm. So again, Hourglass palette, Caliray palette. So tell me what you think in the comments down below. And then next time in part 2, we'll do the other 2 palettes so you can see which one you might want to purchase. So thank you everyone for joining me today. Make sure you subscribe down below to be notified when part 2 of the other 2 palettes comes up so you can see the tutorial on that and decide which one might be a better fit for you. Again, the Sephora event is going till December 10th, and that is 20% off. Ulta has 5 off 15, 10 off $50, and also has a 20% coupon if you're a reward member. And then there's various other websites that are having sales on different products all the time. So make sure you definitely, if you're looking at any of these face palettes or really any product at all, make sure you're really shopping well. Again, thanks for joining me, and make sure to share, like, and subscribe down below. Have a great day.